Hi there, my name is Phila Beck and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share and subscribe and ring that little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. And I have been reading The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Century. And this has been a review that's a long time coming. I'm on this one right now, 1910. So this is a review that's a long time coming. I actually intended to do Century all in just one review. But on rereading it and rereading it again, I found it so incredibly dense, just full of information on so much you had to go through. I'm splitting into 3 reviews, for each chapter in this volume, and because it took me so long to really plow my way through the first chapter, 1910. I'm waiting. I waited until I finished the second chapter, 1969, before I recorded this first review. Now I'm pretty much on a roll. I think I can finish it up, and I can do the final review probably in the next week or so. So yeah, so this is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Century 1910, and this is where the League takes I would say, a pretty sharp turn into its middle and final phases, which are kind of similar, and in doing so becomes a lot less accessible, and a lot more work, and some may say a lot less fun. But I think that really depends on how you feel about work, more than anything else. But yeah, it's a lot more work. It's a lot less accessible. It's not like this simple, fun, entertaining read that the first 2 volumes were. So the real question is all this work worth it? And honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I won't know until I finish this volume, Century. And I have an idea of what it's really talking about. And I really won't know really clearly until I finish Tempest, the final volume. So yeah, some time to go before I can tell you whether it is worth all the work. I don't know. I think it's probably enriching. On the worst case scenario, I'm probably more enriched having put the work into it than not put the work into it. Now, something that's become clear to me, though, is there is nothing at all that is skippable in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. You can't, and I'm really going to have to go back now and read a bunch of the stuff I skipped from, the Black Dossier as well, because I know there's important stuff there. So, so I got to go back and, look at that. Something that you guys should not skip, though. Something that's very important. Something that's, in fact, that will be wonderful and life-affirming for you, I feel, in such a very profound way, is to hit the subscribe button. Can you hit the subscribe button? Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the share button. All those things are good buttons to press. And you know what? I want to show you my appreciation. I show you my appreciation every week on this channel. I give stuff away. The stuffing away this week, I like. Well, that I have to say. I always say I like the stuffing away because it's always my stuff. What I'm doing is I have DVDs which I bought Blu-rays of. So now I just got DVDs sitting in the back of a shelf. So I thought I'll give them away. So I'm giving away this one this week. Apocalypse Now. The complete dossier. This is a fake sealed orders packaging, which I really kind of like, and it's got both versions of the movie, the 1979 version and the 2004 Redux. Not a fan of the Redux, but still, worth watching. All you need to do to win it is subscribe to the channel. Subscribing being the frickin' point I'm doing this, so please subscribe, because if you really don't subscribe, I would be sad. You wouldn't want me to be sad. So yeah, subscribe to the channel and leave the hashtag Panama Red. I'm doing the prize drawing tonight when I'm on the TARDIS zone. I was going to do it last night, but I was a bit emotionally drained after watching Doctor Who with a watch along. So I'm doing the prize drawing tonight. If you miss it, come by, go to my channel and go to one of the latest videos. Always look at the videos. It tells you exactly what I'm giving away this week and how to win it, what the hashtag is. Also, there's also a Doctor Who audio adventure you can download in the download in the video notes. So go ahead, help yourself, and if you end up, best of luck. So the very curious Black Dossier, as I mentioned just now, does a lot of setting up what this universe is. Again, it's a very different bird from the first 2 volumes from the rest of the series. I think the first 2 volumes I will call the early League series, and now we're into firmly in the middle and the final phase. So it sets up a lot of the world, and pretty much outlining much of the first half of the 20th century. In this Moore's fictional universe, Alan Moore's fictional universe that's made out of fiction, which is really kind of mind-boggling in of itself. So there's another alternate reality called the Blazing World, which more calls Ideas Space. And it's got this is idyllic place, like a utopian place, and Gulliver lives there. I believe Gulliver's there from Gulliver's Travels, and it's ruled over by Prospero from the Tempest. And Prospero is very much seen as the group's mysterious leader now, for that, giving orders from on high that you don't really understand. So we also know from the Dossier, Black Dossier, that in the 1930s, Herr Hinkle, based on Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, headed Germany's forces in World War II, and then by the late 40s, I believe, the Orwell's Big Brother had taken over England and created a totalitarian regime. So what's really, really, really desperately needed is a lavish, fully annotated version, fully annotated volumes for this series, where they lovingly go over each page in an index in the back, which will be like 4 or 5 times the size of the actual comic. Well, like an index in the back going over each page, telling you what all the freaking references are and discussing them in detail. So I don't have to go to like a million different Wikipedia and library references to work out what the hell's talking about. That would be absolutely fantastic, and I would so buy that. So yeah, look, anybody out there is in publishing, I want that. So we can get to work. So okay, 1910. We're on the first chapter of Century 1910, and I think Harker and Quatermain have already encountered the Blazing World by this time in the history. But it goes to show you how incredibly complex it is that I really don't know after reading it and reading it and rereading it over the last few weeks. So so I'm pretty sure they know about the Blazing World now, and I think that's how they met their newest member, Orlando. So this is the first time they had a major character, I should say, who I had no idea who or what they were whatsoever, or where they came from. So Orlando comes from a novel by Virginia Woolf. Orlando, a novel or something, a biography. I can't remember what it's called. It's a novel by Virginia. Yeah, a novel by Virginia Woolf, and I can very much feel that Alan Moore's massive intellect out horsepowering mine quite considerably at this point. So Orlando is an immortal who's lived for thousands of years, I think, and is genuinely gender fluid. Well before it became very, very popular. It's really gender fluid. Orlando will sometimes be male, sometimes be female, changing every few decades, I think, and is armed with Excalibur and has a personal knowledge or an involvement of much of history. So yeah, he's an interesting character. Now, if I was to make a guess as to what Moore's motivation were with this change of tone, is I'll purport this that he probably absolutely detested, not that he saw it, but he absolutely detested the movie adaptation of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, as he detests movie adaptations of everything he does, and everything since then in the League anyway. After Volume 2, was designed to keep the peasants out, to keep the riffraff out, and make it dense and impenetrable for the average Joe, and thus it would be protected from being bastardized and adapted again terribly. So that's one thing's going on, and I'm forced to remember that really beautiful letter that Alan Moore's daughter, I think Leah Moore, wrote about it, and asking us to imagine yet another alternate reality where Alan Moore didn't feel like he was royally screwed over and over again through his work, and instead was happy and cranking out lots and lots of wonderful comics that were just entertaining and joyous and full of life and hope, and just exuding his unbridled love and joy for the 4-colored heroes that he just so loves. So, alas, we don't live in that world. We live in the world where Moore's heart was broken over and over and over again, and probably feels that he has to make his work very, very challenging to simply protect it. So yeah, I never met him. Well, I met him in a convention when I was a kid, but I don't know him at all. I haven't spoken to him about this. I'll be interested to hear if that's part of his motivation. So I'm on much firmer ground with the other new members of the League. We have Raffles and Karnaki, both of which I knew, so I felt better about that. So Raffles I actually only knew me from the 1970s, which I looked up. They only did 1 year of it. The 1970s adaptation of Raffles, the Raffles who is a gentleman thief. It was played by Anthony Valentine, the 1970s version of the TV, and I only remember that because he used to make my mother swoon back in '77 or whenever it was. Karnaki, on the other hand, is a British upper class occult investigator or investigator into the occult. So yeah, think of a cross between Fox Mulder and P.G. Woodhouse, like Bertie Wooster, somewhere between the two. Yeah, that's how I would describe him. But incidentally, if you're interested in Karnaki stories, Big Finish has a fantastic set of dramatic readings of the Karnaki stories by Dan Starkey, who you might know, who plays Straxus Sontaran from Doctor Who. But they're really, really, really good. If you go to bigfinish.com and check them out, I really, that one I wholeheartedly recommend. It's a really, really good set. So the final newish member, who isn't a new member at all, is Alan Quartermain Jr. Quartermain, who we saw this in the Black Dossier, so it was no big reveal. But Quartermain now has been de-aged and is immortal from going to that pool that she who must be obeyed went to. Was it in Africa, I believe, and I think that's where Orlando got his immortality from too. So this volume opens up with Nemo dying. So Nemo's on his deathbed, and he's trying to hand over his mantle to his daughter Hera, who just completely rejects it and instead swims out into the sea to escape on a passing ship that she sees going by. All at the same time, there's a evil magician, Oliver Haddo, who must be based on Aleister Crowley. See, I really want the annotated version. That would really help me out. So yeah, based on Aleister Crowley, and he's laying a groundwork for creating a Moonchild, which will be the instrument of an apocalypse. So this is all viewed in a vision by a nighttime asleep vision through by Karnaki, which so the group undertakes to investigate it. So what ensues is a bit of a curious tale, I would say, where the League doesn't really manage to do much of anything at all. The closest they get to it is when Murray and Quartermain meet a cryptic time traveller, a raincoat-clad time traveller who's trapped in London. And I really couldn't make much sense of it at all. Again, he speaks in very cryptic clues, which they kind of felt out. But again, this is something that's going to be repeated obviously repeated in the other volumes. They say, I'm going to see you again in 1959. So yeah, you're 1969. So it's clearly going to be repeated in the other. It moved on in the future volumes. I have no idea what he is or where they're going with that at all. So we have that, and then Raffles, Orlando, and Karnaki break into a house into Haddo's evil lair, and really just get their asses handed to them. So much of the story, the bulk of the story, revolves around Hera, Nemo's daughter. So she escapes from Nemo's island and finds herself in London, working as a cleaning girl in a squalid tavern stroke brothel, I think. Yeah. And when Nemo dies, she's visited by Ishmael, and she refuses her birthright once again. She will not take on the mantle of captaining the Nautilus once. She refuses to continue her father's obsession. So something I found hard to process. Yeah, that's the word. But something I found hard to process in this volume is a lot of it's musical. With long lyrical musical numbers, which just left me cold. While I was reading it, it's very hard to conceptualize a song when you don't know the tune of the song. So that was tricky. So things come to a head where Hera is really quite nastily. Well, I'm not saying quite very nastily gang raped by a bunch of the scummier denizens of the tavern, making her finally grab the mantle of captaining the Nautilus, which was parked in the Thames waiting for her, and she unleashes her fiery rage upon London using the Nautilus, and then it just kind of ends with another song, which I found it just kind of weird. But as I discovered, it's really important. It's really, really very important to read the text appendix at the back. I was reading. I've been reading Tempest, the final volume, at the same time I was reading this. I figured this is a reread. I just got to refresh my memory. No, I've got to go through it really from scratch, because one of the main characters in Tempest is a superhero called Vol the Invisible. And it was just revealed in the back of this one that that's actually Mina Murray. So, you've got to read all the appendices and everything in the back, which, again, is a lot of work. This book is a lot of work. So, the question is it a recommend? Can I recommend this to you? As I said earlier, I don't know. I really, genuinely don't know. Listen, for me, Alan Moore has built up enough of enough trust in me that I'll take a punt on this stuff. But I really got to see where it's going, what this story is, what Moore is actually trying to say, because you can't tell from this volume, and I really couldn't tell from this volume and the second volume, which I just finished reading yesterday. So apart from the appendices, which is very important, did I mention the appendices are important? They are important. So so I don't know if it's a recommend. I guess if you like Alan Moore, give it a try. If you like the other League of if you like the other League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, you don't mind putting a lot of work into something. You don't want something to be a passive read, but you want something to be an active, something you've actually got to work at. Then yes, this is a recommend. If not, maybe not for you. My name is Phil Becken, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop, and have yourself a fantastic day.